Okay, everybody. There's a cough. Can't do one of these videos without coughing. All right, so here's a really short sequence of steps for starting email outreach with an included email copy. This is for those of you in our course community. If you're not in our course community, you can sign up below and get access to not only downloads like this, but tons and tons of other bundled PDFs and audios and videos, and along with a brand new community that we're launching this month in December of 2021. That's our primary focus going forward next year. I'm very excited about that. All right, so here are the sequence of steps for selling a service via email. It's really, really quite simple. This is not really magic or secrets or anything like that. It's a question of iterating, optimizing, improving, testing, tweaking, critiquing, and simply just getting better and better predicated on the response rates that you're getting from your quintessential clients, your ideal audience, or the target market that you're approaching. All right, so this is like email number one for agencies, web design services, social media, online marketing, brand building, home-based business, entrepreneurs, whatever it is that you're doing. If you're targeting folks via email outreach, this is what I do. All right, step number one, I will set Google alerts for notifications, generally for keywords, industries, professions, or something that you won't really hear people talk about, but I do this and it works, for people that I want to be notified when they're doing something interesting in the world. So in some of the mindfulness oriented outreach that we're doing now, I'm reaching out to people who are really, really sort of beyond my reach, kind of, like people who have written books over 20 years or so, or have taught really popular courses that are like Oprah-esque kinds of celebrities in the mindfulness and personal growth space. Generally, those people wouldn't respond to me, and right, or anyone that I'm hiring to help me do outreach. But what I'm finding is when you have like really fresh current event sort of news that's happening and you reference that in your email, you can really amp up your results. So what I recommend doing is certainly keywords, industries, and professions, but you can also set alerts on people and kind of be one of the first folks to compliment them, congratulate them, or recognize them with an email saying you just heard about ABC style accomplishment or award or book or whatever it may be. All right, step number two is obvious. You email them, right? Email outreach number one is simply a hello where you're introducing yourself and your brand. And again, it's super important to compliment people and use very specific references when sending this first email. So you don't want to I could send you an email that literally I just got as I'm recording this. It's 3:46 on Friday, the 10th of December. I just opened this email like within the last 15 minutes, and it's like complete nonsense. It's like, hi friend, and then it has my URL, like one of my websites pasted in. You can see, like that gets no response from anybody. It's spam, right? So the only thing you want to do here is A, use their name in the subject line, B, use their name in the first sentence, like hi Ian, and then next, the key action is complimenting the person with something very specific. It takes a little bit more time. I agree. It's a little bit more, it takes time. I mean, that's the biggest challenge, but you are going to exponentially increase your response rate when you say something very specific about a specific person in the world rather than just, hi, friend, I looked at your website and it could rank better. That's nonsense. That doesn't get good results. Don't do it. All right. And for me, as I've mentioned many times, the key action should be getting someone on the phone primarily. If you're not getting people on the phone, you can still do very well with this. I recommend having some sort of audio introduction on your website or your landing page or the service related page, something that introduces you to the world. That if you're not going to be talking to them on the phone, lots of folks who well, not lots, but 5 or 6 people I've spoken to in the last week or so by email who are in my community have told me they're not comfortable with selling on the phone or that sort of thing. I don't really consider myself a salesman either, but I have so many audios and videos and things like that in the world of me talking and presenting information that people feel a little bit comfortable with me or not. They have a sense of who I am relative to, they've heard my voice enough times that they feel some sort of connection. I think that's important. So if you're not doing something where you're asking people to get on the phone with you, I would recommend having something where your voice can be, they can hear you talking about your business, your brand. It doesn't need to be a video. It could be a podcast. It could be an interview, but something that's beyond just written words on a page or pixel. All right, and step number 3 is you want to email them with it should be very customized and it should be very specific in terms of making compliments where appropriate about what they've accomplished in the world or something you've liked about their business. And this is a sort of generic kind of higher end ask for a larger agency, but it will work equally as well for you. This wouldn't be the email that I would use right now it's not the email that I'm using right now, but I know we've used this before. Many others have used this with a lot of success. And essentially, you're saying congratulations, let's say on the news item that we covered in step 1, and then you introduce yourself. This is our mission. This is what we're about. And then you can say something like in celebration or in commemoration is probably a better word to use there of their recent success or mention or whatever, and then you can describe how your agency has helped other people like them do X, Y, or Z or achieve a goal in a certain time frame without the typical costs or overhead or challenges or commitments, etc., etc. And then you can have a link to your work. I don't like really doing this anymore. I find that diminishes or decreases deliverability on emails that are sent out. But you can do that if you're doing straight, kind of online communiques. You're not going to be setting up a phone call, and then you can link to your calendar. I don't even like doing that so much anymore either. I basically just ask for the phone call. I'll have my number or something like that. But most people still use a calendar-based system with email number 1. I mean, I just set up something with somebody who sent me a link to his calendar yesterday, right? So that still works, and you can still utilize something like that with a lot of success. I would always include a PS, and you can again reference something specific in the world that they may know about. Again, this has measurement metrics in it 50% of the time and 30% of the cost, blah, 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 blah. I generally kind of don't do this so much anymore. This for a long time was the kind of template. But today, because we're reaching out to different sorts of people, I am much more focused on the specific compliment to them. I will reference a book they've written because we're reaching out to authors. I will reference something within that first chapter of the book, or I will reference someone else who's recommended the book if that's true. Like I try to be 100% honest, but I use as much specificity, and I would probably have this even be shorter than it is here. I have another template or two that you can download that shows you exactly what we're using for our authors, AskWise, and we're getting 50 to 60% response rates, not conversion rates. People are not hiring us predicated on at those numbers, but they are responding. I am building relationships with those people, some of whom obviously then become clients. So, the key lever here again is specificity, customization, and taking extra time on these emails to make sure you can reference something that's hyper specific about that particular person that's different than the email you sent a moment earlier. And I will tell you, one of the challenges that we're having using this is because I outsource some of this. What I'm finding is it's hard for people that I'm outsourcing this to do this as well as I can do it. And that's only because if I'm the one getting on the call with the person later, I want my compliment to be genuine, to be authentic. And if I'm hiring somebody who's sending these emails out and asking them to comment on something from a chapter in a book or comment on, something they've written in the world. I'm just finding it makes me a little uncomfortable that some of the virtual assistants are not quite as sharp with respect to the compliment. So they may say, "Great job with this book." And that's kind of bullshitty. Like, that doesn't sound authentic to me, right? Like I had someone doing this where they were like sending, because at my instruction, very very hyper specific compliment, and they were just sending "great job" with, and then fill in the book here with an exclamation point, and that feels fake to me. It doesn't feel real, and there was no doubt our response rate went down. So it's kind of, like, as people see through that, and I also feel that's a little bit disingenuous. So I feel like embarrassed a little bit that we did that for like 25 people, last week or whatever, right? So, I would be much more specific with the compliment, where I'm saying actually something like, "Hey Joe," or "Hey Ian, really appreciate your thoughts on mindfulness as you covered in the introduction to your book. I have, similar sort of perspective, and also did a 10-day, retreat at this place." Whatever you can glean from a quick introduction or chapter. I'm not buying all these books. I'm simply looking at Amazon and then taking the free chapter and reading that, and then mentioning what I can. Or I'll say I just started reading the book, or I am reading your book. All that is true, and it's very, very, very effective. So I recommend you do something like that as well, whether you're targeting realtors, whether you're targeting, financial advisors, whether you're targeting anybody in the world. Is the more specific the reference you make to what they're doing in the world, a podcast, a YouTube video, a tweet, even, it doesn't matter. It takes more time, but you will get far better results, and you will stand out far more authentically and ethically than the folks who are just sending these very spammy, kind of silly email outreach campaigns that are just designed to get, 1 out of 1,000 people to say yes. Okie doke. So hopefully this has been helpful. Again, you have access to all this in the community. We have a new community, a new whole project launching in the next week or so, December 15th. That's in beta right now. So if you're interested in getting access to that as well, when you sign up for this course here, you get access to a ton of other courses, and you'll also get ongoing access to this new community, which is really going to be quite a revolutionary thing. I hope, anyway. Teach what you know, do what you love, wake up the world with your work. Thank you, as always, so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to